Don't worry, I'm pretty sure I have this demo from another semester on YouTube. Okay. So you have your hip right here. You see how it creates that shape now? So that's your front hip, okay? Now I want to address this hip part. So if you marked it accurately, you could get your hip curve. Honestly, that's what it's called. But before that, you had to mark your hip right along the lowest part, or the hip line, the low hip line, because from there, you're gonna just drag your pencil straight down. And that's why this is called a straight skirt. It's just a basic skirt with no shape. It does not peg in, it doesn't flare out, it just hangs straight at the side seam, okay? So that's how you get that side seam at the lower part. Once you drag that line, then you can take your hip curve, align the straightest part to that bottom line, and then try to align the curve with the rest of your markings on your upper hip, okay?
Is this the front?
This is the front, yes. Okay, and it should kind of line up relatively easy and kind of just flow into the bottom part of your skirt, okay? So it's not hard, it's very simple, very basic. This skirt is actually a very hideous skirt, but at least it teaches the principles of how to make a skirt, okay? We will do full skirts, but you know, be patient with me on this. So once you have this, again, what are we gonna do to the side at the waist? Do you guys know? We're gonna add 1/8. Like we did to the bodice, we added 1/8 at the bottom, remember, at the side seam? And then we blended the waist. We're gonna add 1/8 to the waist of this skirt too, only at the side seam, okay? So when I marked my original skirt line, my waistline, I'm gonna do 1/8. And 1/8 is tiny, it's just one of these blocks. It's not a 1/4 of an inch, okay? 1/8 up, okay? I have 1/8, and then I'm gonna blend it back into my original waistline, okay? Okay, so you'll see when I blend it in, it kind of travels further into the waist. So pretty much what is staying pretty much the same is from your front to your first start. And that is because you don't need so much suppression or curve in the front of the body. Because here is relatively straight, it's relatively flat, so you don't need so much of a curve. Where you need the most of the curve, just like on the neck, is from your first start all the way to the side seam. You understand? Because that's where the most of the curve will sit on the waist, okay? So if you add a curve here, you did it wrong, okay? And that's for most skirts. It's pretty much straight here, curves on the sides, okay? Next time you put on or take off your pant or skirt, look at the way it sits. The front is usually straight, the sides kind of curve up. And then you'll get the idea to always curve more on the sides, okay? Once you have this done, you just do 1/2 inch seam allowance on the waist. Obviously, we do 1/2 inch to match the 1/2 inch on our bodice. So if you do 1/4 inch, you're gonna do 1/4 inch. If you do 1 inch, you're gonna do 1 inch, okay? So I'm gonna do 1/2 inch. If I sound like a broken record, it's because I want you guys to get the repetition of being aware of these guidelines and just kind of repeating myself so you know what to do next from each step, okay? And again, on the side seam, I'm gonna do 1/2 inch. Do not concern yourselves with the hem right now, okay? You're gonna go all the way down and do your seam allowance, okay? And again, when you cut your waist, make sure your darts are closed.
Wait, how much was the seam allowance on the front?
1/2 inch.
Or on the side seam?
1/2 inch. We'll keep it consistent, okay? So now you have a front of your skirt. Pretty easy, basic. Another thing I need you to do is once you cut your upper hip, you need to slash this. If you do not slash this, when you lay each layer together, it will not sit correctly, okay? Again, all curved lines need to be slashed because the allowances kind of hold it when it's straight and it needs to be relaxed out, okay? So just slash it close, maybe like 1 centimeter away from your actual seam line, okay? So there's your front. And then your back will be the exact same thing. And it's pretty much repetition, but I'm gonna go through it again. Open up your darts. Okay. Dart number 1, the one that's away from the center back. That'll be dart number 1. And then dart number 2 is the one closest to the sides. Okay? So 2 darts. This is 1 3/4 inches. If you have a hard time knowing the measurements, just take the total measurement, fold your tape in half, and then you get your measurement, okay? And I'm not trying to be like condescending or anything. This is just the easiest way to get a more accurate number, okay?
Should the darts be pinned the same direction as the bodice?
The dart should reflect how you pinned it on the bodice, correct? That's a great point. So if your dart is going towards the side seam, or I mean folded into the side seam, your skirt dart needs to go the same direction. You do not want your skirt dart going towards the center back and then your bodice one going the opposite way, okay? So you can always check that when you're gonna pin it onto your bodice. If you need to make the adjustment, you could do it then, okay?
So for the front, the dart number 1 is the one that goes to
The dart number 1 is the one closest to the center front. Dart number 2 is the one closest to the side seam. The same in the back. Dart number 1 is closest to center back. Dart number 2 is closest to side seam. Okay. So I'm gonna mark where my. And if your fold was perfect and accurate, the division, great. If not, don't stress about it, okay? Again, pull your line down to your guideline, to your end point. Again, your end point is 1/2 inch below the high hip. Take your ruler, leg number 1, leg number 2. Okay. Again, the same thing with dart number 2. Take the difference. Okay. Drag your line. And the reason we drag it is because we want these darts to go along the grain lines. So we do not want these darts to become biased or skewed or anything, okay? So we're working with the grain line. If you need to extend your guideline for your endpoint, extend it. Leg 1, leg 2, and then you have your darts, okay? Pretty easy, right? Do you need me to continue on? No? Okay. So go on, try to do your skirts. We'll finish the hem next week. If you need to do the bodice or correct your bodice, work on it during your own times, okay?
Sir, could you look at my darts? I don't know if they're looking.
Okay, that's fine.
Will the store tell us what the lesson is?
Yes, I will. I'll send an email when I send the email, the video to everyone. I'll make some last year's video to everyone and probably this year's video. So you guys can just look at it and kind of play with it, okay?